Hello everybody and welcome back to another Raider tutorial. Now today I'm going to be going over depth maps, as I've seen that some people are struggling to understand, what they actually are, how they work, and how we can use them to mask objects out and to mask the sky out, etc. inside of After Effects. So first of all, what actually is a depth map? What it does is it tells After Effects how far away parts of a scene are, but the black areas are closest and the lighter areas are further away. Now I can demonstrate this by using an effect called levels. So I'm just going to slap that on my depth layer, and using these triangles here, I can drag them closer. So now you can see that by dragging the left one and the right one, I've isolated part of the foreground here, this black area, away from the white area, but we'll get into that later. So that basically what I was just saying there is I'm explaining how darker areas are closer to the camera and the lighter areas are farther away. So what you can use this for is you can add fog, you can add different effects and want it to be in certain distances from the camera instead of just having it like just on the scene, if that makes sense, just on the screen. And you can also do it for masking, like a distance mask. So if I wanted to mask out everything that's close to the camera, I could do that. But first of all, before we actually get into how to use the depth map, we need to make sure it is synced correctly. So I've got two cinematics here. They are the exact same cinematic. But one of them is obviously a depth map. So first of all, I'm just going to trim them to the first frame. And then I will show you method 1 of how to time remap these. So method 1, or situation 1 I guess you could call it, is where you already have both cinematics but you haven't time remapped either of them. So let's say I wanted to already have the depth map ready, so I knew what I was doing, I planned it out and I wanted a depth map, so I've dragged them both in at the same time and I'm ready to go. That means that I can select both clips by holding Control or dragging over them both on the left. And I can click Control Alt T for time remap. And I am time remapping. I can add a keyframe on the top one and it will add it to the bottom because I've got both layers selected. So this means I can literally time remap them at the exact same time. So instead of just selecting one lot of keyframes, because this will only time remap one clip, I can select both sets of keyframes. And I can time remap however I want, maybe like this. There you go, that looks nice. And you can see that they are perfectly lined up everywhere in the clip. So yeah, now let me get on to method 2. So let's say I've just got my regular clip here. I haven't got a depth map yet. I only just realized I wanted one. So I've now gone back into Rocket League and I've now recorded it. I've dragged it in. But it's going to be a bit tricky because how the hell am I going to time remap this if I've already time remapped the other clip? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it up how I want. Just like so. And then I'm going to click U on my keyboard to bring up these keyframes from the original cinematic, as you can see. And I'm just going to copy the keyframes and paste them straight on. So you can see that they're aligned. If they were like, I don't know, like this, you need to make sure that they are in the right position like so. Now you'll notice it's not lined up, right? I mean, this is clearly showing, it's really not how we want it. So how we are going to fix that? So once we've hovered over this keyframe, we've selected this keyframe, we're just going to drag the time code until the cinematic starts. And to line it up here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drag this time code forward until it lines up like so. So there we go. Now again, I've perfectly time remapped this how I wanted it. So how do I actually use a depth map? So now I want text to appear behind the car. I'm gonna just name this tutorial, and I'm gonna make it big enough so that it goes behind the car. So if I drag that below my depth map layer, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add levels to my depth map layer. So what this does is it controls what's in the foreground and what's in the background and what we want to show. So the way that we can control this is whatever I want to be underneath the text wants to be completely white. So we can see I want this all to be underneath my text aside from the car. You can see it's like all grey, it's all different colours. That's not what we want. So I'm going to drag this arrow to the left until we have it all white. But now we can see the car, what I want over my text, needs to be black, but it's a bit grey. So I'll drag the left arrow. And you can see with just a bit of adjusting, that is perfect. So now this white area will be underneath my text and my text will be on top of that. But this black area will show over my text as if I've got a green screen of the car. So what I'm going to do now is, as you can see, I want to go track map this, right? But I've got no option to track map for some reason. So I'm going to click F4 on my keyboard, and what that does is it brings up the blending modes and it brings up the track map layers. So I'm going to grab this whip tool and I'm going to add it to the depth map layer. Now you can see that hasn't done what I've wanted it to do. But down here we're just going to switch the layer option to Luma Matte, and bang, there we go. The depth map is working perfectly. Now there's different options you can do it like this, so it only shows over the depth map. So that is Luma Matte inverted, and then yeah, there's different alpha mattes, but those you can mess around with these how you want. Anyway, I hope you have found this tutorial helpful. This goes over how to use depth maps. You can also do the exact same thing to select out skies. You know, if you want to see how to do that perfectly, you watch the Fusion 3D tutorial. I'll link in the description. Before I end the video, please make sure to subscribe and to subscribe to my main channel as well. I'll link it in the description, as well as hopping in my Discord if you want to learn how to edit. Got loads of resources for you in there, including replays, overlays, everything you could want, and I offer help for free in there, so yeah, go for it. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed this video, and bye bye.